Hey guys, it's John here, and figured make this little video. Last night I did a live stream, and Rambrath was asking, if I was going to do like a rant video on Rambo 5 or Stallone, and it made me think, why not do this video on Arnold and Stallone? Because, in the last 5 to 7 years, these guys have quickly gone downhill. Let's start off with Arnold first. Let's start off with Arnold. You know, Big fan of Arnold, going back to, you know, Terminator, Commando, even, Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer, The Running Man, Red Heat, Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Total Recall, T2, True Lies is great, Eraser is underrated, End of Days is great, Collateral Damage, I saw that in the theater when it came out. The Sixth Day is decent. Arnold has had a great career. With Stallone, big fan of Stallone. You mentioned the early Rocky films, the first four Rocky films, Rocky Balboa. Rocky 5 is okay. I can watch it as a time waster. But Cobra is a classic. Over the Top. Lockup, Tango and Cash. Great film. I even liked Oscar. I like that movie. Demolition Man, Cliffhanger, both came out the same year. The Specialist I like. The Assassins is okay. Judge Dredd, but he did Daylight, which is an underrated film. Copland is a great movie. Detox, aka ICU, is another great one nobody talks about. And then he came back for Rocky Balboa, which I saw in the theater twice, I believe. And I can't believe it's been, almost 14 years since that came out. Great movie. To me, that was the perfect ending. Rambo 4, I saw that in the theater when it came out. Again, to me, was the perfect ending to the character, to Rambo. And Rocky Balboa was a perfect ending to Rocky. It was a perfect swan song to these characters. Then he came back, once again with the Expendables, against all odds, against the critics that made all these jokes about, oh, you're too old. You're too old to do this, and, you're bringing back all these old faces. Why? But the Expendables kicked ass. And I actually remember seeing that in the theater like 4 or 5 times because I enjoyed it that much. Then he came out with the Expendables 2. Which I'll talk about. But I guess we'll start off with Arnold because, Sly, being a big fan of, Stallone, I'll probably talk more about him because to me there's been more shit in the last 7 years. But with Arnold, I know over the years he's had little cameos here and there in the Expendables franchise, and, he was governor before that. And then he came back for The Last Stand, which I like. I actually picked it up on DVD recently, rewatched it. And yes, the first half of the film is not as strong as the second half. I can admit that. But when the second half kicks in, Arnold is great. And fun action. It's a fun action movie. Sort of a fun throwback type of movie. But then he came out with Sabotage, which I did not see, and to be honest, I don't want to see. Terminator Genesis sucked. That movie sucked. With Emilia Clarke as Sarah Connor, that I can flick like that. Was not believable as Sarah Connor. Jai Courtney, I can't stand him. Why did you get this guy to play Kyle Reese? Why couldn't you have an aging Michael Biehn come back as Kyle Reese? But it's not just that. The movie just Arnold in that film is embarrassing. Calling Terminator Pops. And, you got the scenes where he's mugging for a mugshot to the song Bad Boys. What you gonna do? Terminator Genesis is a shit pile. It's a dumpster fire. And Arnold was embarrassing. And even then, he was too old to play that character. He was what, 67, 68 when that came out? Why is he still... For folks out there, there's more to Arnold's career than The Terminator. Because he did a lot of great movies that I mentioned. Total Recall, The Running Man, Red Heat, which I know they're trying to remake The Running Man. I don't know why. But after Terminator Genesis, Killing Gunther, which I do have, but I have not seen it yet because I know I've heard bad things about it. So I'm just waiting. I'm putting that film off for my own reasons. And I think he did what? Maggie, which was a drama. And now he's coming out with Terminator Dark Fate. From all the trailers and all the spots that I've seen, it just looks bad. It looks just as bad as Genesis. I don't care for these characters. I don't care for this cast. Arnold, in some of these spots, his character is, living in seclusion. Oh, my name is Carl now. Then he got Linda Hamilton saying, I'm not going to call you effing Carl. Linda Hamilton, what happened to Linda Hamilton? She sounds weird. And from what I understand, that she's a smoker, so that's probably something to do with it. I'm not going to be one to, if you smoke, to each his own. But Linda Hamilton just sounds weird. And again, I don't care for this cast. Arnold, stop playing Terminator. You're done. And I think this will be the final nail in the coffin. I have a feeling. Genesis was, again, a dumpster fire, and this is going to be the final nail in the coffin because I can see it coming. I am a psychic. I've seen this before. I can see into the future. I have, it's like you can see it coming from miles away. Now with Stallone, Expendables is great. The first one's great. The second one, I like, but it has problems. Things that I like. I like Van Damme in the film. I like Chuck Norris in the film. I like that, there's a lot of action in the third act, with Sly, Arnold, and Bruce Willis. And you got a little bit of Chuck Norris sprinkled in. Okay, you got all these faces. But the comedy sucks. The final fight between Stallone and Van Damme, which you would expect to be a classic, is a letdown. There's been far better fights. There's been better fights and better action films, and I shouldn't have to say that about a fight between Stallone versus Van Damme. That should be a classic. And I know the original idea was Stallone, from what I understand, he wanted to have a different ending where he would kill Van Damme's character, like Van Damme would try to take off in a helicopter, and then Stallone would try to, something to do with the chain, where he would kill Van Damme as he's leaving in a helicopter. And Van Damme's like, no, let's not do that. It's me and you. Let's have a fight. Let's do a fight. But of course, Stallone, since he didn't come up with the idea, he's going to have more of the offense. But that's Stallone for you. And again, I shouldn't have to say that with the fight between Stallone and Van Damme. It should be a classic. It was like Stallone, he wanted all the offense in that fight. It should have been more than what it was. And then you got Liam Hemsworth, which don't get me started. Which I'm glad he got killed in the film. But that's another thing I did not like. Dolph Lundgren, wasted. A lot of wasted parts. Jet Li, wasted. Then he come out with Expendables 3. Oh, I want to go after the new blood, the young blood. I want that Fast 5 money. I want the Fast and Furious crowd. I want Ronda Rousey. I want all these new faces. And who gave a fuck? Who really cared? Who really cared about these noobs, these fresh faces? Okay, I like Mel Gibson. I thought he was a good villain, but he didn't have much to do. Harrison Ford's cool to see. Wesley Snipes was wasted. The Expendables 3 sucks. And then going on to do films like Grudge Match and Bullet to the Head, Bullet to My Ass, Bullet to My Balls. Is a mediocre film. Grudge Match I did not find all that funny. An Escape Plan that same year, I believe, which is a letdown. You have your two biggest action stars in Arnold and Stallone, and you make this lame version of Fortress. And then coming back with Escape Plan sequels, back to back. Why? And then, what else? I mean, there was something else, Backtrace, which I did not see, don't care to see. And then Rambo 5, which I saw in the theater. I should have known what was coming. And it just proved, the whole question of why, what was the purpose? What was the point? Why was this made? And I forgot about Creed. Almost forgot about that. Two films that were not needed. You don't, and I know there's talks of Rocky 7, but you don't need Rocky 7. But getting back to Rambo 5, okay, the bits in the tunnel, cool. Taking off villains one by one, taking them out, okay. But it's not enough. And it didn't feel like a Rambo film. It was pretty much a sequel to Bullet to the Head. Might as well be playing the same character. Or Assassins. Or The Specialist. It's no different. It doesn't feel like a Rambo film. And Rambo is right. For a man of few words, he had so much dialogue. He probably has as much dialogue as his character in The Specialist. Or Bullet to the Head. If he put Sung Kang in that, it wouldn't have been different. All you needed was, who was in Bullet to the Head? I was about to say Christian Slater, but he got killed in that. It was no different, and it felt direct to video. It didn't feel like a theatrical film. It felt like, excuse me, it's making me cough. It feels like something that you would see in the $3 bin at Walmart. I'm sorry, the bits in the tunnel is not enough. At the end of the day, it was a film that wasn't needed. Rambo 4 to me ended it fine. It ended it perfectly because he came home. To be honest with you, looking back, if Stallone says, okay, this is my last film, if Stallone ended his career on Rambo 4, I would have been just as fine. If I had known what was to come, what was to come ahead for the next, 6, 7 years, 11 years, 10 years, let's say, I would have said Stallone just, ended with Rambo 4. Because you brought this character full circle, but no. I mean, or, I know I like The Expendables, the first movie. But again, that was back in 2010, almost a decade ago. And it's been, since then with Stallone, in the last 10 years almost, it's been shit after shit after shit after shit. And it's gotten worse ever since Expendables 2. From Expendables 3 to Escape Plan, doing back-to-back sequels, Bullet to the Head, Grudge Match, Backtrace, Rambo 5. I don't know why. And it makes me think, with Arnold and Stallone, as great of, as great careers as these two guys have had, and I'm big fans of them both, and they're legendary. Is it time for them to retire? Stallone being at 73, Arnold's at 72. They don't have that much more to give. Let's be honest. As much as I love these guys, they don't have a lot in tank. They don't have that much left to give. If Stallone decided to step behind the camera like Eastwood, okay, that'd be different. But again, Stallone, with him, is it ego? Is he desperate? That he wants that, he wants to get so bad, he wants that theatrical release so bad. That, people only know me for Rocky and Rambo, so of course they came back. Arnold with Terminator. Which again, there's more to Terminator's career, film-wise, than the Terminator. And no, I'm not going to see Dark Fate. I say that now, but I probably will, to rant on it. It's inevitable that I'll probably see Dark Fate. And it's the perfect title for that franchise because it represents the downfall of the character. Ever since T3, it's been shit. And I think it's time for these guys to hang it up. I really do. I love both of them. Big fans, and I always will be. But it's getting to a point where they don't have that much more to give. They don't have that much more left in the tank. They're at that point in their careers where they should step back and say, what are we doing? Again, Sly at 73, Arnold at 72. And between Rainbow 5 and Dark Fate, I ask, why? I don't know the word. I don't know which is going to be worse. Rainbow 5 and Dark Fate. It's time for these guys to hang it up. It's time for, again, as much as I love these guys, it's time to stop. Cut this shit out. You don't have that much more to give. You don't have that much mileage left in the tank. And I know Stallone's working on Samaritan, whatever that comic book film. There's so much more you can do that you don't have to be in front of the camera. If you want to step behind the camera, that's one thing. But in the last 5 to 8 years with these two guys, it's been embarrassing. But what do you guys feel? Should they retire? Should they take a step back? To me, at the end of the day, they should step back. Maybe Stallone should think about retackling, one of his canceled films, the films that he never did. Like Isobar or whatever. But I don't think he would. I think that would never happen. With Arnold, I think he's just done. I truly do. I truly believe Arnold, he doesn't... Oh, what about twins? What about triplets? It's never going to happen. It's been talked about and talked about. It's never going to happen. They're just trying to stay relevant. That's the word I was looking for. They're trying to stay relevant. And in this day and age where we have action films like John Wick Chapter 3, Keanu Reeves at 55 years old right now is kicking more ass than these two guys. As much as I hate to say it. As much as these guys, as Arnold and Stallone are legends, right now Keanu Reeves is kicking your ass with the John Wick franchise. And those deliver. Those films, John Wick, John Wick from the first film to the third film, all these films have delivered. But yeah, so what do you guys feel about this? Should they retire? Should they hang it up? But anyways, thank you for watching and have a good day.